Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days and 5 minutes on this New Year's Eve, the last day of the month of December. And we wish everybody a happy new year. We're going to do that tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Is the snow drought going to finally come to an end soon? We're going to explore that possibility tonight at 7:35 p.m. Eastern. And I just want to go over something here with regards to uh, the weather pattern changing, and I always try to kind of emphasize a few things when it comes to pattern change. First off, it's that it is never and it's almost never an instantaneous thing or something that happens in a day or two. It's usually a long, grinding process, and it can take you 2 or even 3 weeks to get to the final outcome. Oftentimes, in that process, you can have some volatility in terms of the weather, in terms of storminess, in terms of uh, warm to cold, that sort of thing. And the other thing is that the pattern change you want, and it's no secret, pattern snow lovers and winter weather lovers want it to go to a winter cold and snowy pattern. The pattern change you want and the pattern change you get are not always the same thing. So it's just sort of important to follow the process. And I rolled back to last Thursday, the 28th of December, and just to give you a quick idea of what's going on in terms of the flow, we've had two distinct jets. The southern jet, which remains very, very active. The northern part of the jet stream that would bring in cold air has been elusive to non-existent for the last couple of weeks. And I just drew in which way those upper air winds are blowing in the atmosphere, and they are blowing in an unfavorable direction as far as getting into real cold air, not this sort of what I call dirty cold air, which is what we've been in, where you see temperatures getting down close to seasonal. But as we roll this upper air along past January 1st and then on to the end of this coming weekend into this weekend, we have a distinct change that occurs in the overall flow. For one thing, now we do actually have a flow coming down from northwest Canada into the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. It's not a strong flow, but it is important in this overall scheme of things. And we still have this active southern jet stream, and there's going to be a system that'll probably move off the southeast coast on Thursday. This system out here in California, that is one, and that's going to be there on Thursday. That is the one that I think has a shot to end the snow drought. It may not end it everywhere in the Northeast and northern mid-Atlantic states, but I think it could has a shot to ending it in a lot of areas. Now, how this all plays out remains to be seen. And then down the road, we still have more work to do in the upper atmosphere because it looks like after that storm goes by, a stronger storm is going to be heading toward the Great Lakes, which ultimately means whatever falls will wind up getting washed away. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there for you. And we, of course, will be following this progress along and talking about it tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Meanwhile, this afternoon, you've got a lot of clouds running from the Great Lakes on up into New England. You head down into southern New Jersey and point southward and throughout the southeast and Gulf states. It's a really pretty day there. Lots of sunshine, reasonable temperatures for this time of year. And the only other place where we have something going on in terms of precipitation is out in California, where we've got some rain that has moved in from offshore. It's mostly on the light side. We do have some snow going on around the Great Lakes and also in parts of western Pennsylvania and into West Virginia. But as far as anything major is concerned, that we do not have. And I don't think we have to worry about that for much of this coming week. And just a quick check here. Weather Service, for some reason, their websites right now are not working right. But if we look at the watches and warnings map across the country, there's nothing. I mean, there's a few dense fog advisories up in parts of Oregon and Idaho and also in a couple of counties in Arizona. But from coast to coast, we don't have any winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories, flood watches, nothing like that. So the weather is very, very quiet for this New Year's Eve. And as far as snow is concerned, this is also minimal. There's one area in West Virginia given what the radar is showing right now, where there's a high probability of at least a few inches there. But other than that, it's fairly minimal, even in the areas that are snowing around the Great Lakes today, not really producing very much. And the same goes out in the west. This is for the next 72 hours, by the way, so it takes us into Wednesday morning. Uh, 72, the snowfall probabilities just for 2 inches in the west is very low. And as we've also been pointing out for the longest time during the month of December, it has been snowless in a large part of the U.S. Many areas that almost always have snow on the ground in this time of year have bare ground. So that's just kind of the way the winter has gotten off. So going forward, of course, obviously no issues tonight. You can see how quiet the weather is across the entire United States for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. There's a low that's going to form offshore on Tuesday, not a problem. There's a weak cold front that's dropping southward on Wednesday through the Great Lakes, no issue there. There is a low that's going to come out of the Gulf states and head off the southeast coast on Thursday. That should run up offshore and not cause any issues, other than it will bring down some chillier air into the northeast and mid-Atlantic states and even into the southeast later this week. And then that stronger California system comes inland and then moves into the Gulf states. You see the low there near Louisiana starts to move into the Ohio Valley. It redevelops along the North Carolina coast next Saturday night into Sunday morning. The GFS has a pretty strong storm sitting off the New Jersey coast. The European's actually a little bit further south from its prior run from last night. But on the north and west side, we have snow. How much? It's not going to be answered here because you know why? It's a week away and nobody can tell you because we still have to work out a lot of details in terms of how this plays out, how strong is it going to be. And I can point out that the one thing to look for this week, I think the most important factor is this area up here. There's a very strong cold high building east of James Bay. So how strong that high gets and how much of that high builds southward is really going to ultimately determine who winds up with rain, who winds up with a mix, and who winds up with some snow. But I think we're going to get something out of this, and we've got all week to watch it. And of course, remember, 7:35 tonight, the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast on YouTube. Have a great New Year's Eve. Please party, but do it safely, okay? And we'll see you later.